Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This video tutorial is for students who are in Algebra 2 Goal 5. We're hitting about the midway point of the chapter, and we're still working this particular family of topics. We're still working in the boundaries of things that we know how to do when we're drawing old experience. But as we start to get deeper into this topic, or family of topics, we start to realize things look a little bit different, still doable, but a little bit different, and then we start hitting topics that take a lot of steps. So we want to ease ourselves into this, make ourselves comfortable with what we're doing first. So let's get started. Fingers crossed, my computer is starting to lag because this is the 8th video of the day that I'm making today because I'm trying to mad dash run and get everything up and ready for next week when we start teaching. All right, so first things first, finding zeros of a polynomial function in factored form. Again, any topic that says factored form, they're just handing this to you on easy mode and they're getting you used to what you're doing before they start throwing honest-to-God challenges at you. What this means in factored form, we did this yet again in Goal 4, it exists in your memory banks, is you're taking each individual piece and setting it equal to what thing are they asking for every single time? 0. So negative 2x equals 0. X squared minus 16 equals 0. X squared plus 49 equals 0. I can make that brush a little bit thinner, but then I might not be able to read it. So 2x equals 0, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, x equals 0. That's one of our zeros, okay? Add 16, x squared equals 16. Take the root of both of those, and I'm going to get positive 4 and negative 4. Remember, it's worth mentioning, even though I said it in an earlier video, when you're taking the square root of a number, you're going to get two answers, the positive version and the negative version. And now let's see here, minus 49, x squared equals negative 49, and now I square root. Oh, can you take the square root of a negative number? Is it possible to have a root of a negative number? Meaning, can something times itself ever be negative? No, unless you want an I here. So we can't do anything with this particular one. It's null and void. There's your answer. So there is your complete list, 0, 4, and negative 4. Let's see if they could throw any other curveballs at us. So each set to 0. So let's see here, 5x equals 0, x minus 16 equals 0, x plus, nope, minus Ms. Dubois, x minus 3 equals 0. All right, so x equals 0, okay, and then add 16, x equals 16, okay, add 3 to both sides, so x equals 3. There's our list. We have 0, 3, and 16. So that one was actually pitifully simple. And it's worth noting, the reason why this one was simple, your exponents were outside. This one required thought because your exponents were inside. So don't let those squares fool you, okay? Next up, let's see here, where are my x's and how do I set them to 0? So x minus 4 equals 0. Then we have x squared plus 49 equals 0. I have a feeling about you. And then x plus 2 equals 0. Is that all of them? That one doesn't have an x. Yep, we're good. Okay. So plus 4, x equals 4. That's one of them. Minus 49, x squared equals negative 49. Can't do that because a squared cannot get you a negative number. Minus 2, x equals negative 2. So our two zeros are at negative 2 and 4. And that's all you're really doing here. Let's mix it up a little bit. Let's see here. We have x minus 7 equals 0. We have x plus 7 equals 0. And then we have x squared minus 49 equals 0. I don't know, those 49s tend to be unlucky. Let's see here. Plus 7, x equals 7, minus 7, huh, funny that, x equals negative 7, and then plus 49, the world was nice to us, x squared equals 49, square root, and what do I get? I get 7 and negative 7. So what are our answers for this one? We have literally double counted 7 and negative 7. And really, that's all you're doing. So there's a couple of things to keep out for this one as we were going through it. The most obvious one is if you have a negative number for an x squared, that's a problem. You fundamentally can't do that. I mean, technically you can, but then you're dealing with complex numbers, and who wants to deal with them? We want life to be simple. Sometimes they'll get you all different numbers and all different numbers, but sometimes he'll give you repeats, and just don't freak out over the repeats. So that's finding zeros written in factored form. Next is finding, nope, wrong one. Next is finding a polynomial of a given degree with given zeros. Again, they're being nice to you. They are literally handing everything to you on a silver platter. So what they're doing is these are all of these are the zeros. So in other words, this is this topic in reverse. So it's this in reverse. Okay? So if I'm told basically x equals -1, x equals 0, x equals 6, and then x equals -2, that's what they're fundamentally telling me. So is it set to 0? Nope, gotta do that. So x plus computer plus 1 equals 0, x equals 0, x minus 6 equals 0, and then x plus 2 equals 0. Well, gosh, don't those look like parentheses we can handle? So we have x plus 1, we have x minus 6, and then we have x plus 2 equals 0. All right, that looks good. But wait, Ms. Dubois, what the heck does that multiplicity of 2 mean? Just that. You put in a tiny little square when you're done. And that's your answer. And look, this is exactly that kind of unholy mess that this stuff was. Only now it's not unholy. It's actually very simply broken down, and we know exactly what it is that we're doing. One more, and this time I won't put in nearly as much work because I understand the pattern now. All I'm doing is I'm flipping my sign. So I went from -1 to +1. I went from 6 to -6. So it is x plus 1. My x is just by itself. We have x minus 6 because I'm flipping the sign, multiplicity of 2, and then x plus 2 equals 0. Is that seriously the same thing? Oh my god, Ms. Dubois, you and your screen grabs. All right, next, find the polynomial. So we have x plus 3, so we're taking our sign and then we're flipping it. It's a multiplicity of 2, and then we, what did I just do? I'm so used to writing an x in between something. And then we have x minus 9, and then that's it. And if we're talking about degree 3, we have x squared, and then another x, yeah, we have a degree of 3, and it checks out. Next up, I want to give you one that, at a glance, a lot of kids look and say, wait, what? But what you're doing is actually really, really simple. Like, even when I was writing worksheets for this back in the pencil paper days, you plug in 0, and no, really, it's that easy. So we want to have two things. We want to keep our y intercepts, and then we're going to want our x intercepts, okay? X intercepts, you can kind of know after doing this enough times that it's going to be a list. Y intercept, well, the whole point is that it's a function. It's a one-to-one relation. It only passes the y-axis at 1 point. Now, between the two, since the y-intercept only gives you one answer and actually solving for it is like the easiest thing on the planet, we're going to start with that. So what are we going to do? We're going to plug in 0. How convenient. So this is going to be for the y-intercept. I want to keep myself organized. So 2 times 0 squared minus 15 times 0 plus 18. Gee, I wonder what that will be. Gee, I wonder what that will be. Gee, I wonder what... Oh, wait, that didn't change. So our y-intercept here is going to be 18 because 0 and 0 just disappear and you're left with 18. Okay, y-intercept is easy. X-intercept, what does it say? It says factor completely, set to 0, solve. So 3 steps. Okay, so these are going to be for our x-intercepts. So the first thing we got to do is factor completely, all right? Let's see if this can be factored. So let's do 2x and x, same sign. That plus sign tells me it's going to be same sign, so it's either plus, plus, or minus, minus. So what is it? It's going to be minus, minus. All right, let's look at my factors. We have factors of 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, 6 and 3, 9 and 2, 18 and 1. which one will get me 15. All right, so let's see here. I'm doing this a little bit fast in my head because there are other videos that explain this in more detail. But basically, I'm going through multiplying everything here by 2 and then adding it to this column to see which one will get me the 15. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 and 3 is 15. So 6 is on, this is on the O and the I. So this is on the outside, this is on the inside. So that's us factoring it completely. So now we're going to do the next step, which is set it to 0. So we have 2x minus 3 equals 0, x minus 6 equals 0. So plus 3, 2x equals 3, x equals 3 halves. Just barely gave myself enough space. Okay, what's the next one? Plus 6, x equals 6. And then there is our other answer. So we have one very simple answer for our y-intercept. We happen to have two answers for our x-intercept, and also one of them was a fraction. So a very diverse range of answers. We approve. Next up, we're going to have our y-intercept is going to be something, and then our x-intercepts are going to be something, and all we're doing for our y-intercept is we're plugging in for our 0. So 0 cubed plus 0 squared minus 16 times 0 minus 16g. I wonder what this is going to be. Because 0, 0, 0 minus 16. Funny that. Oh, computer, do not lag on me right now. This is my last video until lunch. Next up, x-intercepts. So x-intercepts, so we can keep ourselves organized. We got to factor this completely. Gee, I wonder if we're factoring by grouping, which was an earlier topic. It's almost like a bunch of these Goal 5 topics use earlier knowledge. Funny that. Oh, I'm sorry. Was my sarcasm showing? Let's see here. I'm going to zoom in on these two because I know I can pull out an x squared, and that will get me x plus 1. And then if I zoom in on these two, 16 and 16, I can pull out a negative 16 to also get me an x plus 1. So that leaves me with x squared minus 16, x plus 1. Okay, that's the factoring completely. Now we just have to go through the effort of setting to 0. So x plus 1 equals 0, therefore x equals negative 1. There's my first x-intercept, Ms. Dubois. Careful what you're saying. Then what do I have? I have x squared minus 16 equals 0. I'm going to finish writing this over here. I need some space. So that means x squared equals 16 because plus 16 plus 16. X, or root this, x equals plus or minus 4. So we have 4 and negative 4. All right, this actually isn't that bad. I mean, the work is getting a little bit intense, but the work itself isn't hard. That's the most important thing to remember. As long as some of these topics get, nothing you are doing is hard because you've done it before. How inspirational. Next up, we're going to have a y-intercept, and then we're going to have our x-intercepts. And now I have all the space I need. Let's see here. So y-intercept first, we're going to plug in our 0. So 2 times 0 cubed minus 2 times 0 squared minus 84 times 0. 0, 0, 0. I wonder what my intercept could be. 0, I wonder. It's almost like that number is important in this goal or something. Next up, we got to do some factoring. Let's see here. I can definitely pull out a 2. And because of all of the x's, I can pull out an x. So that leaves me with what? X squared minus x minus 42. Ooh, I like that. I know that can divide evenly because I already know what the factors are going to be. All right, so before I start shooting ahead and being show-off, we know it's going to be a plus and we know it's going to be a minus. This tells me I'm going to have opposite signs. I'm having a plus and a minus somewhere. What are my factors of 42? I have 1 and 42. I have 2 and 21. I have 3 and... Wow. 14, Ms. Dubois, pay attention. 4, 5, 6, and 7, and there it is. In order to get a negative 1, I need to subtract 7, and I need to add 6. And now, hey, look, I have a bunch of things I can set to 0. So 2x equals 0, solve, x equals 0. then x plus 6 equals 0, solve x equals negative 6, then x minus 7 equals 0, solve x equals 7. All right, and that is our complete list. All right, so that is the first half of family 4. Next video, whenever that is, I'm going to be talking about end behavior. Let's see here. I have to actually, you know that goal 5, I don't get to teach nearly as much with the same frequency as others because I don't have every single topic memorized like I do with the others. I'll look up which ones, what the next ones are, and then I'll decide which ones to do for the next video. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. See you in the next one.